James.
I was I
We
was
weren't
trying to
live, were
see.
we?
No, we weren't. I was trying to see how
Oh
many
my
people are
Lord.
watching us, and I was like, "Hey, what's this button that says go live do?"
Wow. How long have we been talking?
About half an hour.
Okay, okay. Well, hey everybody, welcome to Cinephile Sundays with James and Randy, which
Yep.
has been going great for the last half hour, but no one's been seeing it. There's my notification.
Yeah.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Well, all right.
Well, I hope people show up, even though we're half an hour late. But if not, they'll record it. Yeah, we've got one person in the audience, and we've got one
Okay.
thumbs up. That must be Libra
All right.
Paradiso.
Libra Paradiso. We had a long conversation where we said all kinds of fascinating things about Casablanca
Well, we
that will
should just
never
keep
be
going.
repeated. We
We
should,
should
yeah.
just keep going. Yes. Casablanca, 1942. Humphrey
Right.
Bogart,
Yes.
Ingrid Bergman,
Yes.
and who played Victor Laszlo? Paul Henreid.
Paul Henry. Yep.
And then Claude Rains, of course, is Inspector Renault. And
Yeah.
in the midst of our conversation, which had been going on for half an hour, I was just telling James one of the things that I did to prepare for this video was think about and look at some of the literary archetypes that bore similarities to these characters. And
Yeah.
Renault was one of the more interesting ones. Also, I like to draw parallels between Casablanca and Star Wars. I read an essay once a long time ago and I've been thinking about it ever since. But Inspector Renault
Mm.
is, kind of sardonic and a
Yes.
realist, and he's
Yeah.
out for himself. But he's also brilliant. He's also brilliantly intelligent. So
Mhm.
he's nothing if not Falstaffian as a character.
Yeah. Yeah.
But if he were a character
Um,
in Star Wars, he'd be Lando Calrissian.
I suppose he would be. Yes.
You
Yeah.
know, because he's kind of neutral. He's not on one side or the other. And Lando Calrissian kind of does that too. He waits for the winds of change to show where they're going because initially, he's kind of siding with the Empire, and so is Renault. He's siding
Mhm.
with the evil Empire too, which was Nazi
Yeah.
Germany in Casablanca, of course.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Um, uh,
we've
quite
had
so.
more people drift in.
Yeah, we've got three
Welcome
viewers now.
everybody.
So welcome everybody. So
Just to catch
quite
everybody
so.
up,
Yes.
we were talking for half an hour before we went live because we didn't realize that we had to push the go live button.
Randy's being kind. I didn't realize.
It's okay. I should have noticed that there wasn't the red live notification at the top of the screen. I knew something felt off.
Well,
But please
uh,
introduce yourself in the comments. And if you got anything to say about Casablanca, please do. We're up to 17 people now.
oh wow, good Lord, what do people? What is wrong
Hello,
with people?
everybody.
Hi there. Yeah. So
Whoa. That was our discussion of Casablanca. No, I'm just
yeah.
kidding. Just kidding. We're just getting started.
So this is the first of an infinite series of discussions about classic cinema called Cinephile Sundays. And usually we talk about books. Randy and I, we have BookTube channels. Probably everyone watching knows that. And we're going to be we're doing our first one about Casablanca, the 1942 classic, the classic of classics, the
And of
Hamlet.
course, we'll be drawing comparisons and talking about books as well. I don't know if you know this, James, but Casablanca's had a sequel.
Okay,
It's a novel called As Time Goes By, and it's not as bad as you would think.
okay, all right,
Yeah. I actually rather liked it. And it
okay.
does the things that you would expect it to do. It gave people the kind of ending that they wanted the movie to have. So
Hmm.
if you were mad, and we can't talk about Casablanca without spoilers, I don't think. But if you're spoiled by, if you're going to be mad about being spoiled about a movie from 1942, I mean,
Yeah,
I can't help you. But yeah, if you're still mad because she wound up leaving with Victor Laszlo instead of Rick, you should read As Time Goes By because you'll be happy at how it turns out. Yeah,
Okay. All
it
right.
wasn't a bad little novel. It picks up immediately after the movie ends. So it picks up with a car chase. Richard Blaine and Inspector Renault are in a car being chased by Germans, flying down the highway.
Huh, okay. So right in the middle of things, just as it's ending.
Yeah, yeah. In medias race, I think is the
That is what. Hmm. Yeah.
yeah, but yeah, this one literally is. I think Richard Blaine shows up in one of these postmodern novels written by someone like Thomas Pynchon or Don DeLillo too, but it's not really. I think it might be in a book called Gilligan's Wake or something like that, and
Gilligan's
it's
Lake.
not really the
That's
sequel that we're looking for. You know what I mean?
right. The sequel, well, as we said earlier, the real sequel is Play It Again, Sam, the Woody Allen movie that begins with the last scene of Casablanca. Yeah.
Terrific.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love Play It Again, Sam, and it's interesting as you pointed out earlier when the record button was turned off. Um, also, that's one of the few Woody Allen movies that Woody Allen didn't direct.
Right.
Do you know who
Yeah.
did direct it? Was it Marshall Brickman?
I do not know. I don't know offhand.
Um, I know at that time Marshall Brickman often co-wrote screenplays with Woody Allen. So,
Hmm.
but yeah, I
Yes.
don't know. But there's a story, and I don't know if it's true or not, but I want to believe that it's true that someone in Austin at a film festival spliced the entire movie Casablanca with Play It Again, Sam. If you've seen Play It Again,
Right.
Sam, and remember it, it literally opens with the ending of Casablanca. The camera
Okay.
pulls back, and Woody Allen is sitting there watching it. And it's a good 2, 3 minutes of Casablanca at the beginning of it.
Yes.
You kind of
Yes.
sitting there thinking, what the hell's going on here? Until the camera pulls back and yeah, and
Right.
so I would have loved to have I'd love to be able to figure out how to splice those together myself and have that same experience, but it's probably easy to do with computers. But
Yeah, probably. If you know how
but
to edit
yeah,
video, which I have never learned to do, despite having a YouTube channel.
I don't edit my YouTube channels or my
Yeah.
YouTube videos. I never have. So
Yeah.
I only recently started making thumbnails.
Yeah. Yeah.
For a
Uh,
long time, I just went with whatever YouTube picked for me. So I was a Luddite.
yeah. Well, my approach is I look at the three automatically generated ones, and whichever
Yes,
one I look the least
pick one.
stupid in. Yeah,
You choose the one that you're most dashing in.
that's what I do. Yes, there's usually one where my
One
mouth
of the
is
things
open, my eyes are closed.
One of the things James and I were talking about is how we both have a following of men on BookTube who are interested in learning how to grow up to be suave and debonair and charming
Yes,
and just basically how to live the full men's life from people like me and James.
sure,
And so
sure.
one of the opportunities that we're taking is to turn these young men onto some of the classics that they would not have seen otherwise.
Yes,
And that's part of the reason for this show is so that we can
yes,
share the movie Casablanca with another generation.
that's right. That's right. We were speculating that just the black and white would be enough to turn off many people. So let's see. We have some comments. John's Comics with
Hey,
Friends says, "Hello all. Casablanca is an all-time great film." Uh, I think that's the consensus in on this live stream. Yeah. Libro Parody says Woody Allen doesn't like Casablanca. He had fun with it uh, at its expense in Play Against that.
yeah,
Probably a bit. Yeah. Oh, John's Comics with Friends is saying hello to Libro Parody. So okay, there you go. So and I had given a whole spiel about how it's amazing that this film turned out so well, since the production of it was kind of a bit of a mess, and they had five different screenwriters, and it was based on a play originally called "Play It Again, Sam." Not "Play It Again, Sam," called
everyone comes to Rick's.
"Everyone Comes to Rick's." Everyone Comes to Rick's, which had a different ending. And Libra was saying he doesn't like the ending. The ending of Everyone Comes to Rick's is that Rick gets arrested by the Nazis at the end. So
I couldn't even imagine.
I know. But while it was being made, they were still revising the screenplay up until the end, and it was shot in order. And actually, it was shot in chronological order. So the first thing they filmed was the flashback material with Richard playing and Elsa in France, and then it went through the story, ending with the last thing that was shot was the last scene of the movie with the plane that was made out of plywood, apparently. Um, and they actually had for the train station scene, they reused the set that was made for the movie Now Voyager, which also is a classic, but I've never seen it. But it had um, Paul Henreid, who was Victor Laszlo in this movie, and it also had um, Claude Rains, who was Captain Raynell. So two of the stars of that crossover into this one. Um, and famously, the cast didn't get along with each other. The uh, cast didn't get along with the director. The the screenwriters and the cast were arguing over how it should end. Paul Henreid, who plays Victor Laszlo, the tall, dashing, good-looking resistance leader, didn't think that it should end the way it ended. For some reason, he thought he should get the girl rather than Humphrey Bogart. Um, and Humphrey Bogart and his the leading lady, Ingrid Bergman, uh, did not have any personal chemistry at all. They did not like each other. Also, famously, and this is the thing that gets to me because they talk about this when they talk about Humphrey Bogart and Ilsa and Ingrid Bergman, him having to stand on a box because he was so short. Um, and there's a scene where they're dancing where he had like boxes attached to his feet.
Oh
But
wow!
and the thing is, Humphrey Bogart has a good 2 inches on me, so I so
Oh no, kidding! I didn't realize
it
it.
bugs it bugs me a little bit. You're like, well, Humphrey Bogart was such a
Well,
shrimp.
how tall are you compared to Peter Lorre? That's the question.
Yeah, I'm probably a little closer to Peter Larry. I haven't looked up how tall he was. Let's see. How tall?
We were talking, the thumbnail for this video features me portrayed by Sidney Street,
Yeah,
who is I can't remember the character's name, but he owns the Blue Parrot, the convenience
Ferrari.
bar in Casablanca.
Senor
Ferrari, that's
Ferrari.
right.
Yeah, yeah.
Senor Ferrari. Uh, who was the inspiration for Jabba the Hutt, by the way, and which makes beautiful sense. And then Peter Lorre in the role of James Rucala. Am I pronouncing that correctly?
That's close.
We'll just call you James.
Yeah. But Peter Lorre apparently was 5'3", so I'm taller than him.
5'3". That's pretty short, even then.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I'd have a full foot on him. Well, Woody Allen always said that, when it came to cinematic heroes, he never identified with your traditional leading man type. He always identified with the Peter Lorre type, especially in Casablanca.
Mhm.
Rick, you must help me. That's my impersonation of Peter
Very good.
Lorre and
Yeah, that's good.
Casablanca.
That's
Thank
good.
you. Yeah. Rick.
Yeah,
What a great movie.
yeah.
Oh,
So,
so okay,
yeah.
let's. James and I have been sharing some personal anecdotes about our experiences with the movie Casablanca, and I've, of course, being much older than James, and probably having had much less of a social life than James, have seen Casablanca at least a dozen times, even on the big screen twice. But I had a girlfriend, and I'm sure she's not watching. I hope she's not watching. She's an ex girlfriend now. But during our first sleepover, I decided to show her my favorite movie. And she was a sapiosexual. She was interested in me because I was smart, or so she said. I think it might have been that I had money. This was back when I had money. Now I don't have money and I'm not smart either, but that's a different story. So anyway, we're going to show each other our favorite movies, and I show her Casablanca, and she'd never seen it, and she was a much younger woman, as many of my girlfriends have been, But she oohed and awed at all the appropriate parts, and she was suitably impressed with Casablanca. And I thought, okay, maybe this relationship could work. Maybe something could happen here besides just the. Maybe we could get serious. And she says, okay, I've watched your favorite movie. Now you get to watch my favorite movie. This is where we really get to know each other. I said, okay, great. What is it? She said, it's called Dirty Dancing 2 Havana Nights. Not Dirty Dancing, Dirty Dancing 2, the sequel with
Hmm.
the which was a completely different screenplay and had
Yeah.
nothing to do with the Dirty Dancing franchise. They
Right.
bought it and wrote a cameo in for Patrick Swayze so that they could, trade off the brand name. It was that bad a
Hmm.
film. I mean,
Yeah.
she didn't just choose a bad movie as her favorite film to compare with Casablanca. She chose a real stinker. It was
Yeah.
terrible.
Yeah.
So yeah, be careful if your perspective. Well, you know what? She and I, we're not together anymore. Let's just put it that way.
Fine. So, well, and
It's a true
my
story, by
experience,
the way.
I believe every word of it. Libra says Havana Nights isn't on the Criterion Channel. I'm not surprised.
Never has been.
No. I've only seen this movie twice, and as I was saying to Randy, I saw it one time when I was in college for a college class that I ended up not taking, and then I saw it the last week to prepare for this. But it's so good and so strong that I feel like I have seen it many times, and there are so many
Right.
references to it, of course. And I've seen pieces of it, but I've only watched it all the way through twice, which I guess does not make me it disqualifies me as a real cinephile. I guess I've never
No,
been a
no,
big
absolutely not.
I've
You
never been a
qualify.
big rewatcher, but they say Paul and Kale never rewatched anything either. So,
Pauline Kael never watched a movie more than once.
yeah, so that's why I do it because we're that's that's why I have such great things to say about that. Um, but it really did not feel like only a one-time rewatch to me. It felt like revisiting something that I really experienced, that I had more familiarity with. And you know, when you watch this for the first time, if you don't see it at a young age, it's kind of like when you first read Hamlet and you realize this is where so much stuff comes from, and not just the famous
Right.
lines. Um, a beautiful friendship, the round up the usual suspects, and things
Hmm.
like that. But
Oh yeah, that's
it,
such a
I,
great line in the context of that movie too. Round up the
it
usual
really,
suspects.
yes. But here's looking at you, kid, and I mean, the first time that you hear him say that line, which was originally improvised,
Oh wow.
is yeah, it is. It doesn't seem right, right? Because it's in the flashback in France, and it's like they've just met. We don't really know much about their relationship, right? Well, they've told each other. We said we wouldn't ask no questions, right? We said no
Right.
questions. So he's trying to find out something about her, and she's like, no. And of course, Rick, for the rest of the thing, he doesn't want to answer any questions at all, right?
Right.
What did we do last night? I can't remember that far back, right? And
What are you
and
going to do tomorrow
and
night? I never planned that far ahead.
I and so he says, okay, well, if we're not asking questions, well, then here's looking at you, kid. And it just seems so like he's got this big
Oh
smile on his face, and you're like, well, that's where this is from, but it doesn't seem right. It's not until the end
yeah.
where it like really,
Oh
because he says it I think four different times, and it really kind of
right.
accumulates that kind of pathos by the end, or you might say bathos. Maybe it's a little bit cheesy. I mean, this movie is very kind of corny in a lot of ways, but it does it tugs at your heartstrings in unexpected places. For me, in particular, the scene with the Marseillaise um, in
Yeah.
the cabaret.
Oh
Just
yeah.
it's incredible. It's for me that more than any of the romance and was. was the most touching scene. And I also,
Well, when you think about it
yeah,
too, a
yeah,
lot of the actors and the
yeah,
extras in that scene
yeah,
were actually refugees from Europe,
yeah.
which gives that singing of that song even more resonance when you realize these people lived it.
They didn't just live it; they were living it because it's 1942. The war is not over. There is no
Right.
guarantee that the war ends the way that we know that it does.
It's
There's
true.
no guarantee that France is ever France again.
Right.
They don't know in 1942 if the Germans are going to get kicked out of France. No. Yeah, amazing, amazing. Yeah. Uh, but and the use of music throughout this is fantastic. It and
Yes.
what was the I made note of who the composer was. I probably lost track of it somewhere. uh, Max Steiner was the composer, right? And
Okay.
so, this was like a studio guy. He probably, composed this on Monday afternoon and, did another
Right. Yeah.
movie. Uh,
After a couple of
amazing.
after a couple of
But,
martinis and 10
right.
cigarettes.
And some of it is kind of rote. Like every time they show a French army officer, they play the Marseillaise a little bit.
Right.
And, but if this movie starts off with this, like, with this, or what they would call Orientalist effect, where it's using this this scale that uses like a certain interval that sounds Eastern, that sounds Arabic to us because it's used in Arabic music, and it that's going on. They're showing like the map of Africa, right, and or the map of Africa as it is in 1941, right, and then it goes into the Marseillaise, and then there's some other
Right.
mess, right? And as it goes through, you'll see the Captain Renault's building, and they play the Marseillaise again, and then there's a scene where the Germans come marching through, and they play Deutschland über alles, and then of course, there's the famous song as time goes by, right?
Right.
And it's performed by the actor, he didn't play the piano because he wasn't a piano
The
player,
great
but he
the
did do
great
the singing.
Dooley Wilson.
Yes, Dooley Wilson, right? Is he known for anything besides this? I mean, I guess this is enough, right?
Not that I
They
know
didn't
of.
want to. They didn't want to use his actual singing. They wanted to get a better singer for it.
Oh
Can
wow.
you imagine? Can you imagine? But so Dooley Wilson is the singer that they and the song. I mean, it's a fantastic song, and of course the import of it. You learn
Yes.
from the flashback, but and then that piece of music gets transformed later on in the film, and he changes the mode of it. He changes it into a minor key, and it at certain times, which is I mean, it's a cheap trick, but it's fantastic. you know, and I guess that's the thing about this movie. It has so many kind of stock things, but done so perfectly, and no one really thought this movie was going to be anything. This was not the big production they were working on at the time. And it's amazing how well it came out. And as I was saying in our preview,
Right.
is that it's
Or
because
dress rehearsal.
so many people had like this was like it was a factory. Like everyone knew exactly what they were doing, and so even if it's not perfect, even if some people are going on autopilot, it still produces this amazing thing that just holds up. Um, you know, think about the way that
1942.
1942, right?
That's almost
Think,
100 years ago now. It's
yeah,
83 years ago now.
yeah, yeah. Think about the
Yeah.
way that Ingrid Bergman's eyes look in just about every shot.
Oh,
It's
well, and there she is. She walks into the bar which
Hmm.
I think Libra Paradiso in the comments was talking about how that was one of his favorite moments in the film is when she walks into the bar and Rick realizes who she is and sees her for the first time. And you and I were talking about Humphrey Bogart's performance and how believable it was.
Right.
But she walks into the bar and there's all this, and of course it's in black and white. You've got all this cigarette smoke because it's a bar,
Yeah.
and it floats around her head as if it's a halo because
Yeah.
it's this silver color. And she's also wearing, to emphasize the halo effect, she's wearing this big white round hat.
Hmm.
She's the goddess of love, basically.
Right. Yeah.
This womanly ideal or this romantic womanly ideal. And she doesn't have much more to her character or her personality than that. And doesn't need to, because this is a movie where the characters are, in large part, mostly archetypes.
Yeah.
They're not cliches, they're archetypes. Although Renault certainly has a lot of personality.
Yeah. Yeah.
The little scam to get women is just really, really creepy if you think about
Yeah.
it now.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, it did seem, yeah, that was pretty wild. But especially when Rick thwarts his plan to get this one particular woman.
Mm, yeah. So,
And
yeah.
Renault warns him, hey,
Mm,
you've
yeah.
never interfered before. I don't recommend you make this a habit.
Right. Yeah.
It's pretty wild stuff. But well, let's see
So
what else
that
is
is.
in the comments down here.
Yeah.
Conrad Veit. Well, you go ahead with the comments. You can read them better than I can. My vision is starting to fail me as I get older,
Yeah.
youngster.
So Leroy Paradiso is recommending John's comics with friends. Apparently, he's got a channel, many videos
I will
discussing
check it out.
Cinephile. Yeah, we will. And Libra says Casablanca is one of my favorite films, but I don't see the ending as being a positive one for Rick. Laszlo didn't need her; she was a trophy wife. Rick, on the other hand, did. She failed the test. Maybe.
That's an interesting perspective.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But Rick, I don't know. Did he really? I kind of feel
Did
like
Rick need her? He
he.
didn't. It doesn't seem like he did need her because he went off and found a meaning to his life without her,
Yeah, I feel like
which he didn't have previously, other than running a saloon in purgatory.
right. Well, he's a drifter, right? He's done all
Yeah,
these different things, smuggling weapons and fighting in the Spanish Civil War. We don't
always on the
ever find
losing
out.
side.
You don't find out ever how he got to own a saloon, right? Do we?
Right.
Do we really? Do we really care? Not really. Do we care
I like to think
how
he
they
won it in
ended?
a poker game.
Yeah, yeah. Let's see. Havana Nights isn't on the Criterion channel now. I saw it in the theater at one time. Bergman is strikingly beautiful, yes, and
Ugh.
more so Notorious. Yes, yeah, fantastic
Oh
in
yeah,
Notorious.
Notorious is fantastic too.
Yeah, one of my
Definitely,
favorites.
Notorious will be a good one for a future episode of Cinephile Sundays.
Yes, yeah. One of my favorite scenes in Casablanca is when she appears in the restaurant and Rick's reaction when he sees her. Yeah, that Brandy was just talking
Yeah. Oh,
about her appearance.
yeah,
Um,
that really gets me. His and then he invites them over to his table and offers to
yeah.
buy drinks. And
Hmm.
Renault is just amused and also really curious. What's this all about? Rick never buys anybody drinks. He never
Hmm.
he never sits with anybody.
Right, right. He sits with people. He doesn't drink with the customers, right?
Yeah,
He
yeah,
wants to
that's
be
right.
on
Yeah.
his
Well,
own.
he's got that poor girlfriend that he keeps
Right.
at the bar, that
Yeah.
Sasha the bartender is in love with.
Yes. Yeah. He just wants to play chess by himself.
Yeah,
Which
yeah.
apparently was what Humphrey Bogart spent most of his time when he wasn't on screen doing, was playing chess. It's Patricia Crabtree, who is a fantastic commenter, says folks back then were afraid Hitler was going to win. Can't imagine why the movie set was cranky. Yes, yeah. It was by no means assured that when this was being made that he wouldn't. Yeah. And yeah, Conrad Veidt fled Germany. He appeared in one of my favorite silent films, Cabinet of Dr. Caligari. So that's the guy who played Major Strasser,
Yeah,
the leader of the Nazis. Yeah. A
yeah, the
brilliant
Darth
film. Yeah.
Vader character.
Yeah. Yeah. Production was a mess, and somehow it worked out beautifully. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. We've talked about times. Yeah, how much of a mess it was, and the things that were working against it, but then also the things that were working in favor of it. Yeah. Oh, must read more. I haven't seen
Hey,
Casablanca in so long, but I'm confusing parts of it with Algiers with Hedy Lamarr and Charles Boyd. Well, yeah, we get that all the time. Uh,
Hedy Lamarr. My first girlfriend that I ever had, my first real girlfriend was named Hedy after Hedy
okay.
Lamarr. And my dad could never
Okay.
pronounce her name. He always wanted to call her
Well,
Heidi.
yeah. Okay. Yeah.
True story.
I believe I 100% believe it. Hedy Lamarr. I don't know that I've ever seen anything she was in. I mean, I know her by reputation. She was apparently a scientist also, and the first woman to be nude in a film. But Battle of
No, I didn't know.
Algiers. So
I
Battle of
haven't seen Battle of
Algiers.
Algiers.
That does not have Hedy Lamarr or Charles Bud, but that's a fantastic movie. Is It's not a documentary, but it's made to look like a documentary about the resistance to the French imperialism in the 1960s. So it's these Algerian revolutionaries who are trying to be free of France. You know, they
Mm.
don't want to be part of the. It wasn't the empire, but it was the French Republic. They were a colony, and uh, they wanted to be free of it. And they were. It's an interesting movie to watch these days, considering what our country has done in various Middle Eastern countries against. So I haven't seen it in a very long time though, but I think
I haven't
that
seen it.
yeah, during the our adventures in Iraq and Afghanistan, I know a lot of uh, American like officers were into watching that movie to I don't know, I guess they thought they could learn things from it. Um,
Hmm.
that's um, Blazing Saddles, apropos of nothing, but
Blazing
yes,
Saddles is
definitely,
terrific.
yeah, yeah. So maybe Blazing Saddles will be on Cinephile Sundays. I don't know.
Well, okay, so here's something we talked about when during our dress rehearsal is that earlier this year, James is probably my most active member of the Lone Star Book Club, and we read a book by Jim Thompson, Big Jim Thompson, called The Getaway, which has been made into a film twice. And in The Getaway, the characters are trying to get away to a town called El Rey in Mexico. El
Yeah,
Rey is a fortress for criminals who don't have any place else to go. You get rich, and you're a wanted man or a wanted woman, and you run off to El Rey. Okay, so the final chapter in The Getaway is about the characters living in El Rey, and it's just a horrifying existence. They haven't gone to heaven at all. They're just going there and waiting to die. And one of the things that I pointed out, in my view, about Casablanca is that the town of Casablanca, the city of Casablanca, in this movie is basically purgatory. You know, you're either gonna you're either gonna go to heaven if you get the letters of transit and get to go to America,
mm,
or you're gonna wind up in hell when Casablanca eventually gets run over, or you wind up having to go somewhere else. In Victor Laszlo's case, they pick him up. They don't care that they're in Casablanca and it's supposed to be neutral. They pick up Victor Laszlo. He's going straight back to the concentration camps. But yeah, I thought that was an interesting parallel. The idea of Casablanca as purgatory, and even in the opening narration, the guy mentions, they're just waiting and
mm,
waiting and waiting. You
yeah,
know, which I thought was really, right from the very beginning, they had me right there. Strong
yeah,
sense of place really can make a movie, and it really can make a work of literature, and it worked here. But yeah, that was something James and I had discussed earlier this year when we read The Getaway.
right. Uh, at about the time that this film came out in the theaters in 1942, um, so the film is set kind of right before Pearl Harbor. Um,
Okay.
so America is not in the war, and Rick is not in the fight, right? So kind of Rick is kind of representing the United States in a way. And but by the time this movie comes out, America is in the war, and
Right.
Casablanca was on the mind, like the actual Casablanca in Morocco was on the minds of people because that was where the Allies landed when they that was the first place that Americans came and got involved in the African theater was they landed in Morocco in Casablanca.
Now,
So this movie comes out when they're seeing it in the newspaper or on the newsreels, and yeah, I mean, of course, this was filmed anywhere. That was filmed in Burbank, but yeah, so kind of a
more
bit of
Casablanca trivia.
yeah.
At 44th Street, between 6th and 7th Avenue in New York City, is a tiny little hotel with 48 rooms. It's a boutique luxury hotel called the Casablanca.
Okay.
And in the lobby, there is a replica of Rick's Cafe.
Oh wow.
Now, I don't know what it's like now, but
Uh,
when they first opened, 15 or 20 years ago, that was one of the hotels I spent the night in on my Manhattan trip. But I thought it was really cool that I don't know who it was that owns it, but
mhm.
they must have loved that movie because a
Yeah.
48 room hotel at 44th and 6th. I mean, if you know anything about the geography of Manhattan, that is
Yeah.
like right next to Times Square, right in the heart of the
Mhm.
theater district. You
Yeah.
cannot ask for a better location in Manhattan to stay than right there.
Yeah. Well, depending on what you're doing, but yeah.
No, yeah, I guess depending on what you're doing, but yeah, it's in the center of central Manhattan.
Yeah, it's right there. Yeah. Fantastic.
Yeah, the center of Midtown.
And I wonder
People think
if
I'm
it's
just a
still.
hillbilly, but I know things.
Oh, I don't think so at all. You're you're also a YouTube legend, Randy.
Something like that. A legend in my own mind.
You're the most dangerous man in Denton. And,
The second most dangerous man in Denton, Texas.
okay.
I actually had that as okay. So that's a joke going way back for me and James. I I'm a huge fan of the Sherlock Holmes canon, and in one of I think it's the Empty House, which is the first story where Sherlock Holmes is back. He's talking about Colonel Sebastian Moran, who's basically taken over for Professor Moriarty since Moriarty has died. Spoiler alert. And he refers to him as the second most dangerous man in London. And of course, the first time you read that, you think, well, that's interesting phrasing. But the
Yeah.
second or third time you realize, wait a minute, if he's the second most dangerous man in London, who's the most dangerous man in London? It must be
Uh,
Sherlock Holmes.
or Mycroft, maybe. I don't
Yeah, or Mycroft. I have trouble thinking of Mycroft as dangerous.
know. Right. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just this giant slug. This Boba Fett character, this Ferrari character.
Ferrari. Yes. Yeah.
Yes, Ferrari. Yes.
Fer- Ferrari. Yeah, tiny character. There's so many uh, great bit parts in this. I don't. Ferrari's more than a
I
bit
love the
part. He's
fly swatter.
important, but what's that? Yes. Yeah. He
The
just kind of
fly
gets the word
swatter.
going.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
The guy's
And
probably the richest man in Casablanca, but he's sitting there killing flies.
I like that he introduces himself to someone. Someone is like trying to get a favor out of him. He says, "Well, look, as the leader of all illegal activity in Casablanca, I have to tell you that this is what you say to someone in the first 5 minutes of me."
Right, right. Yeah, it's terrific.
Yeah.
Well, to continue with the second most dangerous man in Denton, Texas story, I have a business partner. We run a consulting business, and he made me change my social media profile where I had listed that I was the second most dangerous man in Denton, Texas, because he thought that might scare off potential clients. Because, of
It
course,
might
when you meet and talk to Randy Ray, the first thing you think is, golly, this really is a dangerous man, probably involved with organized crime.
probably. It's fantastic. But yes, but that's the Green Street character, Ferrari.
Great
Fantastic.
character,
Yes. He just
great performance.
coming out and introducing himself as the leader of all illegal activity. But and this is a place where there is tons of illegal activity, right?
Oh, yeah.
Um, and he's smuggling the cigarettes for Rick's Cafe and then skimming some of them for
Hmm.
himself and all that, right? Um, but but what we were talking about was his fez, this magnificent fez that he
Oh,
wears. That's like a foot
wonderful.
tall. It's just, you know, it's great. It's great.
Got the
And
fans and the fly swatter. Well, and
right,
Lucas, who directed Star Wars, everybody knows that, originally based Jabba the Hutt on Ferrari. So
yeah,
the Mos Eisley Cantina was a stand-in for the Blue Parrot or Rick's Place, whichever, because they're both dens, both gambling dens anyway, and
right,
full of scum and villainy. But
yeah,
originally Jabba the Hutt was going to wear a big fez, and you could see
yeah,
that.
yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
thinking about it, yeah, I can easily see him wearing a fez. I wish he'd done it.
Which yeah, yeah.
That would have been great.
The fez will come back someday. I hope. It's a
Oh yeah,
fantastic
yeah.
film.
I was planning to have a monocle party with some of my guy friends not too long ago, where everybody was going to wear a monocle.
I don't
I
think
haven't
people
given up
have.
on that idea.
I don't think people know how to wear a monocle anymore.
Well, that would be the thing I would have to teach everybody.
Yeah,
The other idea was to have an ascot party where everybody wears an ascot.
everybody's got a neck. Everyone can manage that.
Everybody was real interested in the ascot party when I broached the subject with some of my guy friends and stuff. See, these are the kinds of ideas that the young men aren't having and probably should be. But if they're
Uh,
watching movies like Casablanca, they would be having these ideas.
they would. They would. Yeah.
I'm
They'd
glad to
be.
be shepherding this next generation into the new century.
Yeah. So I don't know how long we want to go. We've been going live for 41
I
minutes
think
and some
another
seconds.
10 minutes or so should be plenty. What do you think?
I agree. So
We
so
still have plenty
let's
of people here. Um, you know, let's explore the some of the just because I did do some thinking about it and some researching on the internet about
mhm.
the literary antecedents of the characters in Casablanca. We
Sure.
talked about this briefly during our dress rehearsal earlier, but obviously Major Strasse is a Darth Vader type character. He represents the Empire, but he's not the head of the Empire. And he is ruthlessly efficient. And if I remember correctly, doesn't he have his own little theme song when he comes on the scene?
Well, they play Deutschland über alles
Right,
when he's walking with his cronies, and of course they have there's a famous well, not famous, but there's a patriotic German song that they're singing in the can in Rick's Cafe
right.
before they were interrupted. Yeah.
Yeah, so there's Major Strasse. Then one of my favorite characters is my favorite character in the movie. Of course, Rick is a marvelous character, but my favorite character in the movie is Inspector Renault,
Yeah.
played by Claude Rains, and he's just
Yeah.
wonderful because he's obviously brilliant. He's got an
Yeah.
incredible facility with words and ideas, and he's also very much a pragmatist, and he's out for himself.
Mhm.
And he's very much like Falstaff in Henry the Fourth, parts 1 and 2, and Henry the Fifth. But also, if he were a Star Wars character, he'd be Lando Calrissian.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which these are the characters in both pieces of literature that I relate the most to. If I were
Yeah.
going to play a character in a Shakespeare play, it'd have to be Falstaff. And in Star Wars, if I had to play a character in Star Wars, there might be a demand for me to play Jabba the Hutt, Randy the Hutt, but I would
He
probably
doesn't actually
prefer to
say
to be Lando
he doesn't
Calrissian.
have enough dialogue. They wouldn't be able to make use of your fantastic Texan
That's
accent.
true. Yeah, the movie character I was really born to play was Rooster Cogburn.
Okay, yeah, yeah,
Yeah, I have a young lady friend who told me one time that she was watching the Coen Brothers remake of True Grit, and Rooster
fantastic.
Cogburn was carrying on and on
Yeah.
about one of his ex-wives.
Hmm.
And she told him, his ex-wife told him, he said, the love of decency does not abide in you, Cogburn.
Fantastic.
Well, yeah, I thought that was
William
great.
Gass. William Gass is here to say that you should play Allen Ginsberg.
Allen
Well,
Ginsberg, interesting. Okay,
well,
okay. I'm gonna
now
think about
Roger
that
Ray
for a bit.
does have a big beard, and he does wear eyeglasses. Um,
This is true.
I don't know. Unless you were saying that about me, but I don't think you were.
Mm. So yeah,
Interesting.
great movie.
Yeah.
Highly recommended. The special edition is really cool. I have one of the special editions that was released for the anniversary of the film. So it's on
Mhm.
Blu-ray, but it
Yeah.
came with a set of coasters. And each of the coasters is from an important place in the movie. So there's a coaster
Hmm.
for the Blue Parrot, there's a coaster for Rick's, and
Yeah.
then the I don't remember the name of the bar in Paris where they hung out, but there's a coaster for that place too. It's really neat.
Oh, neat. Well, that's fantastic.
Yeah, but it's also
Uh,
got all the details about the radio play and the 1 hour long made for television version of Casablanca.
yeah. Okay. I've met Allen Ginsberg. I met Allen Ginsberg a couple of times. I had an actual conversation with him
Hmm.
at one point. Uh, I won't go into it, but very different kind of person than Randy Ray. I'll say that. I did not get the same vibe. Um,
I'm going to take that as a compliment. I don't know why. Mostly
uh,
because I'm a cheerful guy.
intended. But nothing bad about Alan. May he rest in peace. Let's see. Ugo Paradiso says, last night I saw Miller's Crossing. Speaking of the communist, and Miller's Crossing is great.
Good
I
film.
love Miller's Crossing. Um, it's it's a movie, one of the movies that my wife and I have in common that we both like and will sometimes quote to each other. But yeah,
Well,
have you heard
guys,
Miller's?
forgive me,
Yeah,
our audience, and James, but
yeah.
you know what? I'm feeling a little sick to my stomach suddenly.
Are you ready? Okay. Well,
Yeah, it's related to these cancer meds that I'm on. When it comes upon me, it comes upon me really fast.
okay, Randy.
So yeah, I think we will
Well,
have to wrap up the show, or I'll have to wrap up my portion of it anyway.
we can wrap it up right now. Everybody, thanks for coming for cinema.
This was so
What is
much
it?
fun.
Cinephile Sundays,
Cinephile
and we'll
Sunday.
talk to you again. Yeah.
We'll do it again very soon.
Yes, sir. All right. Good night,
All
everybody.
right. Now, you probably have to push a button to make us go unlive.
We're just going to be on until the next time.
There you go. All right. See you later, man.